All right, all right. I believe I'm live. Let me just double check this real quick, guys. If you happen to be here live watching this, go ahead and comment live. I already got ants on me. Another day in paradise. But today we're going to be breaking down, everyone, how I was able to scale my production company to our first $100,000 months. And I'm going to be taking you through everything as far as systems and how I scaled my team, what kind of packages, and what to focus on, the worst mistakes I see people make, all of that. So I'm going to give people a couple minutes here to get live. And those of you that are commenting, you're going to earn the opportunity to come on and ask your questions to me live instead of just typing them in here if we have time. Depends how much, how long the actual live stream goes. And worst case, we'll just pick back up where we left off next week at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. All right, Tony, what's happening? Good to see you, man. All right, guys. So I'm going to kick things off the best way I know possible, a slideshow. Helps me keep track of where I'm at. And full disclosure, part of this was from the content creator live event that we had last, it was 2 weeks ago, actually. Twice a year, we get all of our mastermind members together and we rent out a bunch of sweet houses. So I'm going to be taking you through what several people paid a lot of money to be there in person to do. All right. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. So the goal of this whole presentation, guys, is to show you that it's possible. Without me learning from some of my mentors and learning $100,000 months was possible, like I probably would have only set my sights at 10K months and then said, hey, I'm good. I'm crushing it at life. You know, there's nowhere to go from here. So like I said before, I'm going to do a quick introduction. I'm going to teach you the 3 stages of a content strategist and kind of how I see it. Curious to see where most of y'all are at. Then I'm going to go through what most creators get wrong, the best framework that you need to be setting up in your business if you actually want to step out of it over time. Then I'm going to be going over the main systems to focus on, how to hire help and scale your team. And then I have a 2-year case study that I spent a lot of time breaking down. If we have time, we will get to that as well. So first off, who the hell am I? My name is Ceebz. And it's not actually Ceebz, it's Chris. But what happened was in 2016, I was working at a car dealership. I quit my job. By 2017, I had a drone for a couple other different business that I tried to start. It was actually a virtual reality company that I started with someone that I met when I was teaching myself to code. So I quit my job at the dealership and I was posting on Instagram as Ceebz, which is my handle, and people started reaching out through there. And it actually got to the point where if I talked to someone as Ceebz on Instagram and then got on the phone and said, hey, what's up? I'm Chris. They would essentially say, hey, I don't know who you are, asshole, but like, I'm here to talk to Ceebz. You know, I've been talking to him for a while and I had to politely educate them that, hey, we're the same person. So like I said, I was working at a car dealership 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I was so miserable. I was working like 60, 70 hours a week. I was burnt out. I just like hated everything. I literally don't even have a photo of myself at the dealership because I just like hid from the world. I hid from social media. I hid from life. Like I didn't want to see how great other people's lives were because mine was so miserable. So I was determined to find another way. I actually quit that job after seeing just like this digital nomad life that people were working from laptops all over the world. And I thought to myself, hey, like maybe I could do that. So it wasn't as easy as it looked when I first started. Basically, I didn't have a playbook. I didn't know what videos to offer. I had to teach myself how to shoot. I had to teach myself how to edit. I was too afraid to invest in programs. But it wasn't until 2018 when I was like, all right, you know, after 2 years of doing this, I'm still not getting this. That's when I invested in Zero to Warrior, which several how to sell people know, and started learning how to create VBCs for all different type of clients. That really helped my business take off. So in like, I was probably only doing like 50K before the VBCs. Doing the VBCs brought me up to like 90, maybe 100,000 a year, but it was closer to 90 in 2019. And it wasn't until I actually started to learn paid ads that the business really skyrocketed from there. It actually doubled through 2020 and all the shutdowns. In 2021, we did about 300. 2022, we were at 480. This year, I would assume we're going to hit 6, 7, 800. I don't know. Things have been growing really well since I've stepped out of things, but I'm going to break that down for you in this. And then last year, I invested in content creator and a mastermind with them. Flash forward 2 years, I stepped in and partnered with Paul Xavier to actually run that mastermind and teach it. So I was doing group coaching basically. That led to last year me also launching 30-day content strategist, which is basically my entire framework for the video packages I sell, what kind of assets you should be creating for clients, what businesses to focus on, how to actually market yourself the right way. So many people do it wrong and think they're doing it great. And that now my entire focus, I've scaled down a lot on traveling, even though I actually live in an RV now. So I am on the road full time. I got satellite Wi-Fi that I'm able to run both businesses from there. But like all I want to do is help people do what I just did, because it was a longer journey. And if I can help people get there faster and build out not just the business, but the life, I know a lot of successful business people that have crappy ass lives. And that's not what I want for you guys. I want to help you free up time, find the right clients to work with, make life that much easier, and just like dominate. So here's a couple photos actually from the live event that I was telling you about, just to show some of the students, clients, mastermind members that we're working with. And just the same way people are coming to work with me, I invest in programs still. I just paid $16,000 for a social media coach that's helping me really get my social systems dialed in now that paid ads is off the plate. Real quick, let me stop the share just to make sure we don't got any questions coming up. I'm out of my crappy ass life. Yeah, you are, Chris. Chris, I am so proud of you. How do you tailor video content to different social media platforms? Malcolm, I'll jump to that in a second. Where am I currently? I'm in Asheville. What are the common mistakes businesses make? The biggest mistake, Malcolm, that people make is they focus on pretty B-roll videos, not video with purpose, or video that sells, or video that produces a return for their clients. So let me jump back into my slides here. Hold on, how can I set it up so the questions are on the side? 2 seconds. Haven't done a live in here in a little bit, so I gotta get my systems down. All right, so all right, we're back. We're back, baby. So guys, let's go through the evolution of a content strategist. If you guys are brand new to this group, this is probably where you're at. Well, if you're brand new in video, I guess I should say, your main goal is to develop your confidence and skills. The first year in my video business, I took on as many opportunities as possible. I took on jobs for free to build the portfolio. I connected with as many people as I could within my local network. I told all my friends, family, everyone that I was doing this. Started to get reviews from those people, had more things to actually show to new clients that were coming through, and actually started to be able to charge. It wasn't until you get past this phase that you can start like narrowing down. I see a lot of people at level 1 being like, what niche should I focus on? Focus on business. That's all you need to know. Businesses make money. And when there's money to be made, there's value in being able to help them make more money. So just know that. The second phase that I see most videographers that move into the content strategy world complete, they're just working with smarter packages and bigger clients. So they're getting more focused on their marketing outreach. For instance, before I understood the VBC, everything that I talked about was just like, here's a cool sunrise or sunset or drone footage. And it was just pretty B-roll. Finally, I started saying, hey, if you're a business owner and you're looking to make a brand video for your business, I want to tell you more about the video business card, right? So I started to get a lot more custom tailored with my marketing messaging and outreach. I only started taking on jobs that were larger. I think at like phase 2, my minimum became 2,000 for a video. Then it jumped to 4,000 for a video. Currently, we're at like 7,500 for a simple local VBC. That's basically our minimum. And if there's travel involved, like for a bigger client, it's around 25. We just did a big project with Lufthansa Airlines. Same deal, one video, 2 minutes long. We had to travel to 3 different locations to complete it. So we charged 25,000 for that. And this is a big thing. You want to fish in a pond where the clients and the ROI is a lot higher. So what does this mean? It means if I'm trying to find the right business, I want to find a business that with one sale, they make a lot of money in simple terms. It's going to be a lot easier to justify them spending 10 grand if they make 5 grand per client, right? You only need 2 clients for this to pay off versus something like a restaurant where maybe it's $40 average profit, where it's like, hey, you only need 600 clients for this to pay off, right? It's a lot harder to sell that. And the bigger the clients are, the more people they actually have, the more systems that are in place, the faster your projects and your videos can actually help them. We worked with a client at this stage that was, they're spending $1 million a year on ads. I wanted nothing to do with ads. I didn't know what to do with that, but I still was able to charge 25K. They understood it and said yes, like instantly, which made me realize I could have charged a lot more. And they started saving 30% on their marketing costs. So within their first month, they actually made more money than they spent working with me on the video projects. So the bigger pond that you can fish in with bigger clients doing over $1 million a year in revenue, that's where you want to start getting to. And you want to start phasing out the one-offs to get more retainers with your clients. This was huge for me because getting those retainers in place was what let me actually start hiring people and not stressing each month about like, how am I going to pay these people when I don't know what's coming in? Okay. What else? And then I started hiring, you start hiring your first people. This can be simple things. I think my first hire was like, hey, I need someone to help me design a logo. And then, hey, I need someone to help me color correct these clips. I couldn't figure out how to color correct. And hey, I need someone to help me Photoshop these photos. Eventually, I started hiring editors and learning how to dial in my editing system. Right now, we on average have 6 to 10 people editing for us at a time. Just depends on what we have going on for projects, but it's all because we built those systems and got that stuff in place. And then phase 3, it's really where the path is branches and you're starting to do bigger productions and more content. You have better systems, you have more of a team, you're doing $5,000 to $10,000 retainer minimums, larger upfront fees for bigger production days. That's where I say like a 25K package up front just for the content would set them up with all the content that we need. And we could actually be either completing it all at once, or you can do all the shoot at once and then just do the edits, which also would help you lock in a retainer as well. So like, let's say you do all the shoots over 2 to 3 days. Hey, we're just going to deliver 1 to 2 videos each month, the following months for the next 6 months. It's 3,000 a month. That's 18,000, you know, like 4,000 a month would be 24,000. You guys get the idea. And also at this stage was partnering for profit shares. So I have a profit share with content creator where I get 50% of that business that comes in. I had a profit share with a course that I launched with one of our other clients previously. We did about 10 to 15,000 in sales before I stepped into content. This was a semi-truck coaching business and I just like didn't care that much. So once the opportunity with content creator came up, I said, hey, I'd much rather be focused on that. I think that's a bigger earner. And I'm still working with that client, but we just kind of put that course on hold for a little bit. And yeah, you're earning your skills. You're scaling the hell out of it. And your biggest superpower is learning what to say no to. So we had a question come in from Mr. Wosh Tech. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry if I said it wrong. What's my typical retainer package? My typical retainer, it's hard to say. I have 2 packages with every client. Like I either go in at 10K or 25K, and 10K is like 2 or 3 videos. 25K is like 8 to 10 videos. And then my retainers are 3 or 5K. It's just, I keep it simple in my head. It makes it easier. Hey, we can start at 3K. Our goal is to get to 5K within the first 60 days, 30 days, whatever it is. And with the retainer packages, I start with 25K. And then if they are like, oh, that's just too much, I'll try to break it down into payments. I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll try to flip it to a retainer, right? So there's so many different ways because I've just done so many different retainers. But realistically, for a video package each month, we're looking for 4,000 minimum to help a client. And then for our ads, we're looking for 2,000 minimum per client as well. Now, our retainers all are in the $2,000 to $10,000 range. That being said, so one of our retainers is 10K. We edit 4 YouTube videos and 10 reels each month, and we get 10K. It's only edits. We get paid separately for the shoots. Yeah, so hope that answers that question. So before we get into other packages, I have to teach you guys about systems, because this is the only way you're going to be able to step out your business. If you guys have never read the E-Myth, it's the same concept as that. Go read that book. When we first start our business, we wear every single hat. We got to do the sales, we got to do the marketing, we got to do the production, we got to do the edits, we got to handle the finances, right? Over time, our goal is to get systems in place so that we can actually start to step out of those and put people into place. So if you guys are brand new to video, right, these are some of the inputs that are going to go into your video, creating one video system, right? You got to plan it, you got to do the shoot, you got to do the edit, you got to handle revisions, you got to learn about file management. There's other things that go into it. Like maybe it's understanding hooks for reels on social media if you're doing that. But all of these little things go into just making one video. And in the beginning, each one of these is like a mountain you got to tackle and figure out, right? But over time, you start to get that dialed in, and you don't have to think about nearly as much as this stuff to be able to create one of these videos. Your goal ultimately is looking at each one of these aspects so you can start finding little pieces to take away from all the work you have to do. The biggest one being editing. This is the biggest thing I see people struggle with. They do a shoot for a client and they're locked in editing for 20 or 30 hours to get that video done, which means no sales, no marketing, anything like that, right? So video is what most people are in here in this group learning. But over time, right, maybe we start doing social media for ourselves or for our clients. It's the same thing. There's lots of inputs just to get to one post. Maybe we start adding website services for our clients. If a client doesn't have a landing page and they want a video for their website, like, you can be that person to help them just by finding someone who does websites and offering to bridge that gap for that client. Emails, same thing. Ads, same thing. The reason I'm telling you all this is, like, over time, what happens is you get so good at creating the videos where you don't need to think about all those inputs. And the goal ultimately becomes like finding ways to implement them into an actual marketing funnel and understanding marketing funnels. If you guys don't care about marketing and you just want to do videos, there's nothing wrong with that. But by understanding marketing and content strategy, that's how I was able to like 5 or 10x my rates, just because I understood it better. To get 10K to edit 4 YouTube videos and 10 reels, like, that's ridiculous. But we've done YouTube before. I was able to explain the value of working with us instead of someone else, and they said yes. Ultimately, that goal becomes to build out something like this, where you're doing a huge shoot, you're creating several video assets. From those video assets, you're creating several different pieces of short form content or social media reels. All of that is driving traffic, either organically or through paid traffic, to a landing page. Maybe you have multiple landing pages for multiple different offers. You build out email trips that can go out automatically. Like one of our programs, 30-day course creator, there's 50 emails that will go out for 6 months after people opt in for that. So you can help your clients get things like this in place and systematize and automate things. So you're still providing massive value month after month, but you're the one doing it also. You get all the profit at the end of the day, which is amazing. Here's the biggest mistake I do see people make, right? If we were to look at each one of these videos, these are the core videos that I make for every client. If it's not one of these videos, the chances of us doing it at this point are pretty unlikely, just because it would require my brain power and I couldn't just pass it to the freelancers on my team. Things like a VBC, a testimonial, FAQ, a process video, case study, all of these are just talking head, short form content. Most of that's talking head now. Training videos, talking head, right? Video ads and sales videos is where you get more into copywriting and understanding like psychology when it comes to videos. But when you're first getting started, if you just do these videos, it's really easy to hire someone to set up a camera on a tripod and operate that camera if you need to. It's real easy to run an interview through Zoom, right? It's real easy to edit this content. You can interview your clients about certain topics. But the biggest mistake I see people make is there's so much opportunity, right? And as we start our businesses, we're like, man, I can do all of this stuff in the world. So instead of learning a VBC and doing a VBC over and over and over again to the point where you have several done that you can show future clients to be like, this is how it will look, this is how it will go, blah, blah, blah. You can't show editors that the same way. What they do is they just jump all around. They go from VBC and then they're like, oh, wow, I could build NFTs. And then they're trying to do a case study and then headshots. And then they're back to live streams and then sales videos. And there's no system being in place. Instead, you need to focus on one video at a time. So let's say you sell your first client a VBC. Maybe the second one, you try to add a testimonial. The third, you're still doing a VBC. You're getting that system dialed in, right? Maybe they don't want a testimonial or they don't have any past clients, so an FAQ video makes sense. But over time, as you scale up, if you keep doing these videos, this is how you're going to find an editor who can edit a VBC the same way over and over again, an editor who can edit a testimonial the same way over and again, FAQ video, the same exact thing, guys. The challenge becomes when there is a lot more deep psychology or messaging or whatever needs to happen. It becomes harder to work with editors on that front. And this is where I think a lot of people get stuck. Okay. So the reason I say use these videos, and this goes back to what my like typical packages are, this for 25K, all I do is mix and match 10 of those videos. And if you guys want to know more about this exact package, the program I launched, 30-Day Content Strategist, I break this down so insane on so many different levels. Go check that out or DM me and I'll shoot you a link for that program because it is on sale this month and this month only. Or am I just saying that? You don't know. No. So these are all packages I did for my clients. Let's see. These, yeah, and I charge 25K for each of these. Right? This client, why 2 VBCs? Because they actually wanted to attract new installers and they had a special program for that. And then they also wanted to make a video that they could use to market to clients. And then those new installers could also be using for those clients. All right. Now, why retainers? Why are retainers the greatest thing on planet Earth ever known to businesses? Seriously, like, think about how much like gym memberships, 90% of people don't actually use their gym membership. Yet they pay monthly for it. That's the business model with gyms, is sell a lot, sell them low, hope people just don't have the energy to go work out. But if you were to look at video production in 3 different aspects, right? You have pre-production, kind of like all the planning, working with the client to figure out everything that leads up to the shoot. Then you have your shoot. Then you have post-production. Now, if you were to look at each of these as a block of energy, right? And you had 3 different clients, we're using 9 different blocks of energy to accomplish, let's say we charge 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, right? For a VBC. So 6,000 for the 3 different clients. Now, what happens when you start doing retainers is you actually start saving a ton of energy, because for the pre-production, hey, maybe it takes a little bit longer because you're aiming to do more with that client. However, once you do this pre-production process once and learn more about the client's business and working with them, it becomes a lot simpler. The shoot, because you can condense shoots or you don't need to drive around and prep for 3 different shoots, right? The shoot becomes you save a ton of energy doing the actual shoot for that client. I mean, think about it, 1 client to communicate with versus 3, 1 shoot to plan versus 3. And then post-production, it might take longer because you're doing more videos, right? This is assuming you're doing a bigger video package, but you could charge this client $10,000, save 3.5 energy units, make more money, and your life is simpler. This is why you should be obsessing over content retainers. If you don't have one in place, go out there, try to lock it down, figure out what you did wrong, and then go triple it to sell to the next client, because I know you're going to undercharge like I did my first one. And then the great thing, like we run paid ads, like I mentioned before, as you continue scaling with that client and you get that first video project done, guess what? You're saving even more energy, because now there really is no pre-production. This would actually be more of like ad setup. And then you really don't have shoot. This would be management. And then I don't even know what the post-production bucket would be. But like at the end of the day, you don't have to drive to those clients to do shoots. You don't have to coordinate the shoots. You don't have to deal with the revision process and the client saying, oh, I want to do all this different or change the song or whatever. You get your ads approved once and you can run them behind the scenes. We ran, I'm going to bounce around here for a second. So this is a timeline events with an ad client. We did our first shoot in October of 2020, and we ran ads for them until February of 2022 without doing the second shoot. Think about that. We did one shoot for 25K in October of 2020. And then a year and a half later, finally, we bumped our retainer to do more content. So for 18 months, we were getting like $2,000 a month just to push buttons behind the scenes, 30 minutes a week, maybe, and deliver the results. All right, where was I? Why retainers? You save energy. Commercial campaigns, in my opinion, only makes it that much easier because now you have a way to track down to the day and dollar exactly what's happening with your videos and show your clients the results you're actually getting. But none of this matters if you don't understand the most important business in your system. 100%, this completely changed the game for me. It's the creator's operating system. If you guys are not familiar with this system, you need to obsess over learning it because within your company, you're going to have 6 distinct systems. At the top is leadership. If you're not paying attention to the leadership system and yourself, guess what's going to suffer? Everything below it, right? So when you think you just need to learn more value creation skills, maybe you don't. Maybe you need to become a better person at life, a better manager, right? Maybe you need to get past some of these limiting beliefs that you personally have to step up and show, like every single day, to show up like you need to do your marketing, to do sales outreach, right? To finish the projects that you have been dragging on and you just don't want to do, to handle taxes. Like, geez, I spent 3 months on that this year. It was a nightmare. Right? But this is the system, screenshot it, print it on your board. Each one of these is a system you need to build out. Now, when it comes to marketing, does that mean you need a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter? No, you need one marketing system to flow. With our group training or with 30-day content strategist and the content strategist mastermind, we do paid ads to an email drip. That is the only thing to focus on dialing in. I'm putting 10% of my energy into the social system because one, it really interests me learning that. And then secondly, I think it's a great way, like with the team and systems I have in place, I think it makes a lot of sense because I know I can beat more people at pumping out content as it gets built, right? Value creation is what you're offering to a client. So this could just be a VBC, right? That is value, right? It could just be doing a shoot for a client and giving them the footage, or it could be building an entire content strategy funnel with them with a landing page, a VBC, a testimonial, and offering paid ads once that's all done. So each of these is a system. And the reason you want to think about like this is because the goal is to start taking these off your plate, right? So the first thing I took off my plate was operations and editing. Once operations and editing started coming off, I started taking more of the shoot off my plate. So I would just show up and run interviews. I didn't have to worry about gear prep or SD cards or all the like annoying crap that like I hate when it comes to video. I just like to show up and shoot, honestly. And then I was still doing sales, marketing, finances, right? But then I got a bookkeeper in place. So that started to come off my plate. So I could focus hardcore on sales and marketing. Guess what? Started to get editors to help with the marketing. So that came a little bit off my plate. Kept focusing on sales. And then last year was when I actually stepped out of sales. And now I just oversee everything that's happening. So because I put this system in place, my business doubled in the last year. I really want to stress that to you because like I don't do anything for my company now. I oversee, I do spreadsheets in the morning. I give them advice when they need working with the clients or help them figure out quotes. But we doubled the business without me doing anything other than focusing on leadership and value creation here. And the team actually just locked in a profit share with one of our clients, which is undefined at this point, but we're trying to work through the details. I'll keep you posted. Don't worry, it will be lucrative. So here's why the creator's operating system is so powerful. If I haven't drilled it into your head yet, and you think of just a crazy man up here, like I'm a nobody who's done 250K in cash collected this year, just in production. This has absolutely nothing to do with coaching or consulting. That's a completely different revenue stream. I won't even introduce that because you guys are going to get shiny object syndrome and say, oh, I need to go into coaching. You don't. You can do 100K a month with your production business if you focus on it. Don't have shiny object syndrome. Focus on what you need to do. Do the boring work, I call it. So the creator's operating system is so powerful because once you get a handful of clients, you're going to notice project management becomes an issue. If you guys have ever been working with 10 to 15 clients at once, holy crap, it's a nightmare. So in the beginning, it's all about getting that first client, the second, the third, but quickly that work is going to stack up. Things get messy, and managing the clients becomes as the leadership, your main focus, right? And dealing with clients nonstop all day means you don't get to build the business. So the creator's operating system is designed to show you how to manage your clients effectively and conquer your growing pains so that you can continue to scale. In other words, it is simple and effective at all levels of growth. So this is 1000%. I'm going to show you guys in a couple seconds when I get to like how I scaled my team over the years. When I got to chaos and I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to quit everything. You know, all these marketing gurus are full of shit out there. This sucks. All right. So this is why most commercial filmmaking businesses turn to chaos. They start on their own. They got a process, but it's all in their head, right? So the person struggles with the business when they're at the center of everything, and it works well in the beginning, but it breaks down as soon as they get a handful of clients. They put off working with an assistant. They put off contractors or anybody else because they're the only ones that know how to do it. And maybe they tried once, but they're like, they just don't get it. They're not that smart. All the freelancers I hire suck. It's probably your system sucks and your process sucks. I'm sorry to tell you, but you don't have an SOP in place that someone could just go down, check a box, and know exactly what to do. So video creators in the situations, they can't scale past that point. Their growth freezes, they start to get frustrated, and they stay in that position for the rest of their careers until they burn out and burn out completely in their business strengths, or they just give up, go a different direction, whatever it is. Okay. So what you need to do is basically switch your business from a centralized to a decentralized model. Okay. So centralized, you're in the middle. This was me in, I think, early 2020, like right when I started, when I joined the mastermind and started learning. I was in the middle of 12 freelancers and it was a nightmare. And then we had 15 projects going on at once. So I had up to 30 people a day. 27? Someone's gonna be like, you can't do math. I had a lot of people contacting me every day. And I am an ADHD monster. Like when my phone's going off all day and Slack's going off all day, like I can't focus on what I actually need to do. So I had to switch to a decentralized control model. What this means is now I have team leads in place that manage the teams below them. So I'm only communicating with my top 3 people within DNC, and that, which is my company. And then they're the ones managing the rest of the people below that. So I don't have 8 editors hitting me up on a daily basis. They hit up my project manager. Project manager ideally handles everything without contacting me. If needed, they'll get on the phone with me or set up a time that we can speak and run through stuff. Okay. I saw a couple questions. Seems like to grow, the business scope has to grow out from just running. So Azar, I don't want to say you have to become an advertising agency. If you do video and start offering SEO, hey, now you're offering more value. And in order for that client to find someone to do both of those, they need to go find a good SEO person. They need to go find a good video person. They need to interview lots of people. They need to understand what is actually being done, right? What happens is when you get the foot in the door with your clients for video, there's always going to be other ways that they need help. What most people do is just a one-off. They disappear. They don't help their clients implement a video. They don't know the results they got. They're too afraid to reach out and say, hey, did that video actually help you? And if they say no, they're too afraid to go back and be like, well, can I see and try to help you get more results with this video? Right. So for myself, the reason I loved ads was because we did a ton of travel campaigns. I physically always needed to be somewhere for a shoot, you know, when I was first starting. So ads really appealed to me for two reasons. One, I could prove my results. So like I could go to a business manager account. This is going to go slow. I could prove my results. So like in this case study, right? You know, being able to show a client, hey, we're getting clicks for 4 or 5 cents and we're sending lots of people to your page that weren't there before. Have your leads gone up? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, they have. Right. Or with this scenario, you know, we spent $9,000 and we got almost 12,000 people to click through, or 12,000 people to click, almost 5,000 people to actually click through to their website. So at the end of the month, when a client was like, oh, we just don't know, this happened with this client. Hey, we just don't know if it's working or whatnot. Like, I'm like, hey, here's the results. If you don't want to work together, that's fine. And if anything, we actually need to be charging you more. So you have a great deal. Like, let's keep working together. So it's more about adding additional value. So what we do is the video, the ads, the copy, landing pages. Those 4 things, a client would have to find 4 or 5 different people to actually do all that. Then they would need to understand content strategy as a whole to put it all together instead of just focusing on their main business, which is going to bring in more money, right? Would it be wise to, and another question from Jonas, after doing this for years, would it be wise to niche in a specific industry like health and wellness as a whole? Jonas, in my experience, and from all the mentors and people I've learned from in the past, your niche is going to define itself. Now, what I mean by that was travel and tourism was my niche, right? It was all I wanted to focus on. This client is in the marine industry and they run boating. I actually ran a couple ad campaigns for some tourism clients, and we didn't see the same success that we'd have with this campaign. Once we started to see what we were doing with this client and this company, we actually said, hey, maybe we should focus on the marine industry for lead gen, because no one, like, there's a sweet spot where it's like, you got to be in with like the boating community. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be able to shoot on boats. And we were just like, let's focus on that. So now, especially with this new profit share with this one client, we're building a brand new company. We're just changing the branding for, and like boatleads.com. Hey, rockstar video production plus leads guaranteed. We have a proven system in place. That's how we can go in and say, you give us a part, like 50K or a profit share. Which do you prefer? So your niche should just be businesses doing over $1 million a year in revenue with existing people, processes, and systems in place, and a high value margin on their product or service. That's like the number one thing, as simple as I can possibly make it. If you just focus on that, you're going to start closing bigger deals. They might not be the most, the coolest clients. Like one of our clients has 65 childcare locations around the country. Was it fun to do that first shoot and like figure all that out versus, you know, a travel campaign to Antarctica? No, but that client gives us over 100 grand a year and people just do all the work now. So I knew it was worth it when I could get the budgets from those clients and build the systems around it. Yeah, Zar says, thanks for the answer. Super clear. That was the best answer I've ever heard in my life. That part was ad-lib. Adding additional value to the client, providing results through metrics and stats. Yeah, and real quick, it does your stepping stone. I wasn't even going to get into this. You need to look at the evolution of a content strategist from this perspective. So one-off packages, content retainers, you move into commercial campaigns, because guess what? Once you're pumping out lots of content for a client or helping them with social or whatever, hey, wouldn't it make sense to take one of those videos that did really well on your social? Or, hey, we got a whole bunch of content sitting on a drive. Why don't I just try an ad for you? And we can try to get 10 times more people to the page, since it seemed to work in the past. That's how you easily move into commercial campaigns. Work for free for the first month, make your client pay for the budget, and then say 30 days in, we're going to assess. And if it's going well and you want me to continue, I need at least 1,000 minimum per month. The goal is to get that up to $2 grand and 3,000 in ad spend over the following 90 days. And then ultimately group coaching, online programs. We're building software right now through Go High Level for that client with the profit share. Like it could be anything. So you can skip steps on this ladder as you go. However, you're still going to need to learn everything under the ladder if you want to get into like group coaching or consulting. Okay. But what you can do is help set up, if you haven't already, definitely Calendly for call scheduling, a discovery form. If you don't have that, like definitely get one of those set up, and basic automation tools. What would be a basic automation tool? An email reminder for a calendar event. There's an automation tool. But what you need to do, play around with Wistia, Hotjar, and Google Analytics. Do this for free for your clients, because what you can do is come in and let's say I'm in a different, let's say my main value video, right? I can come in here and see analytics and start to understand how the video is doing, as far as like how's the play rate went, engagement went. Like you can just start to see how all this stuff is doing. And like for a client, let's say there was a sharp drop off like right here. You know, you did something in that video that you need to go back and fix. Or what we've done is we've seen videos that we put on landing pages that only have a 5% watch rate. Only 5% of the people that actually get to that landing page watch the freaking video that we obsessed over. So no wonder they weren't getting results. By using Wistia, I could go back, I could change the thumbnail in the video and test it, that improved. I could add captions below the video. So all of a sudden that 5% got up to 35%. Results start happening. I show my client, hey, this is why you need to work with someone who understands this stuff. Oh my God, you're right. What else could we be doing? Right. So those couple little things, if you start understanding Wistia, Hotjar is just heat mapping, right? So get a video set up on a client site, help them install Hotjar so you can see how the traffic flows through that site. These are just little things that you should do for free, because it's going to get your clients will gain confidence with you enough to want to take things to the next level. Active Campaign then is our email automation system where basically, you know, we'll put tons of emails in a drip. What else we got on here? Yeah, you don't need to know that other stuff now. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to jump back into this before other questions real quick. So creators operating system, you got to switch. This is what will happen. I promise you don't want to listen, but if you hit 8 clients, 16 clients over time, you're going to start to decline, right? The same thing with team members. When you have too many team members, you can't manage them all effectively. Maybe you have 2 editors edit the same video because you weren't managing them correctly. Happened to me. Maybe you have editors that you have to pay and you have nothing for them to edit, and you have to just pay them because you have to actually focus on other stuff. It happens. So you get entropy in your service-based business. As you start to step out of more of aspects of the business, no one's going to be as good as you at them. So that lower personalization gets worse results, leads to chaos. So this is what I did. 2017, Mr. Ceebz was the king of the castle, quit his job, had to show people how great life was. However, as I started hiring miscellaneous freelance editors, I realized I don't want to just find people for these little one-offs. I wanted to find someone I could like work with and like build this thing with. So I actually connected with Alec at a necessity. I sold a job. The client said, hey, like, do you have a producer? This is a 5-day shoot. Like, this was so over my head. And I just said yes to everything. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So I posted on Instagram. This dude, Alec, hit me up. He had been doing production for 5 years. He knew a lot more than me. And I said, hey, well, I got this shoot. If you want to go to Fort Myers for a couple days, I'll pay you. And let's see how it goes. And literally on the shoot, he was teaching me how to use like a camera and set up audio settings and stuff, to the point where the client was like, who's in charge here? Like, you know, like poked a joke. And I was like, yeah, you know, these weird sound guys, like, you know, they know all these stupid things. So Alec came in and that actually solved a lot of my problems. I taught him how I was editing. He just started taking work off my plate. My whole thing was like, hey, if I bring this guy in and I start paying him, I think I brought him in Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and just paid him like $150 a day or something to sit there and just help me with whatever needed. I was like, if I can't get one more client a month with 3 days a week, 12 days a month off my plate, like something else is broken in my business and I need to figure that. So he came in, and then ultimately, like, he was just doing edits and helping me with shoots. By 2020, this dude Chase moved down from Ohio because COVID stuff, and hit me up a million times, said I'll work for free. Reluctantly, I said yes, like seriously reluctantly, because I knew how much would go into training him. He had no computer, no gear, none of that stuff, but he was hungry. So that brings me to tip number one when hiring people. Find people that are hungry and are more obsessed with learning and taking things to the next level than earning, right? So Chase came in and just like, I'll work for free for all year if I need to. And I was like, okay, well, it's going to be a while. I know from a business perspective, it's easier for me just to hire someone to do this stuff versus train you. But I'm willing to train you if you put in the work and you're just all in. But I'm looking for like a 3-year commitment, dude. And I told him 3 years because if you are a commitment phobe, like you'll never say okay to that. But when someone says 3 years, you're like, all right, they're all in. And the part of the deal was like, I let him use my old laptop. I let him use my gear if he needed it for like he sold his own stuff. I said, like, go get your own clients, keep doing stuff. I'm not going to pay you now, but when the time comes, I'll help you figure out those deals. You can use my gear. Shit, I'll even come with you and teach you on those shoots if you sell them. So that brought me to the end of 2020 where I was like scaling like a madman. I was just like, hey, look, now we got website builders. We got a new VA in place. But I was in the center of the chaos wheel, like I told you. And all these people were hitting me up. All the clients were hitting me up. I was so stressed out and so exhausted that I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I can keep doing this. So going back to that centralized versus decentralized, I was centralized here. I shifted to a decentralized, which meant I had Haley, Alec, and Chase communicate a lot more with each other. We started doing Monday meetings just to queue up everything for the week. And then like we wouldn't talk as much. Alec actually started managing Chase and teaching him instead of me teaching him. He also started managing the website people a little bit more, as well as some of the clients. Haley actually started doing copy. So she was started just as like my assistant, basically, started doing copy. And so I found ways that like, hey, maybe you can be helping us with the copy packages that we're trying to sell to clients. And then this is kind of how it looks now. So with that system in place, now I just talk to these 3 people on a daily basis or weekly basis, just depends on the day. Like Alec and Chase and are doing a shoot right now in Tampa the rest of the week. Justin's one of our editors, and then we got tons of other people we'll bring on, freelance shooters, freelance editors. We just hired like this 3X, I call them the 3X trio. It should be the 10X trio. That's a better name. I'm going to rename them. So I just hired these 3 kids that are just like, dude, all we want to do is learn. And they're just helping me build my social system. And I'm just sending them like free trainings I do in my mastermind. They get basically the value of the expensive mastermind watching all those trainings. And then they just are chopping up reels and things like that, helping me do things on the TikTok because I refuse to like obsess over social media. I just think it's unhealthy. And in order to be a beast at social media, you just need someone to help run that. Even today, like the first thing I saw on social was just people ripping me for the ads I run. Like, this dude's got a zinc deficiency. What the hell does he know? I was just like, all right, thanks, man. I'm Ceebz. So brings me to hiring. What about hiring? When should you spend the time versus hire someone? All right. We got to break down time versus money. This is a very important concept. And this is an important concept you guys should be able to explain to your clients. In business, you either have time or you have money. If you don't have the money, guess what? Find the time. If you have the money, you can buy someone else's time, right? And that's the beautiful thing about business. And one thing I love. Now, when it comes to actually hiring, though, you need to think about it the same way. First, you want to hire for what you suck at. What does that mean? Does that mean if you're really bad at running ads, should you hire someone for paid ads? Maybe. I'll get to it more in a second. However, how do you know they're going to do a good job? Right? Second, hire what takes up most of your time. For most people in this group, it's editing. If you already have a team of rockstar editors in place, what is the next thing that takes up the most of your time that is not the highest income producing task? So for me, it was shooting. It was physically needing to drive to shoots. And like you guys know how it goes. That's your whole day just goes to a shoot instead of building the business or anything like that. Third, I already did that. Hire for activities that make you the least amount of money. The reason I'm not driving to Tampa to go out on boats for a couple days is I would rather sit here and market what I'm doing with the programs and stuff, because that's the higher earner right now. The more the company earns as a whole, the more I can invest into having, at like the 30-day content strategist, that program, I spent probably 15,000 in editing just for that program. I know what most people think it's because like slideshows, this and that, but I went really deep with it. And fourth is hiring a team alliance. This is huge. This is why I say hire hungry people that want to go the distance. Because when you hire a team alliance, it's a great quote by Napoleon. If you build an army of 100 lions and their leader is a dog, in any fight, the lions will fight like a dog. But if you build an army of 100 dogs and their lion is a freaking lead, if their leader is a freaking lion, all dogs will fight like lions. This goes back to the leadership system in the creator's operating system, and why you guys need to focus more on yourself than you probably ever think. The biggest shifts in my business happen from doing personal mindset work, not learning the next program or the next system, but no one ever wants to go deep on mindset. So we market, hey, make lots of money. You know, that's the flash at the end of the day for most people. So the biggest mistakes I see with hiring subcontractors, first is not dedicating enough time. You don't either have a process in place already, or you're not helping them build one as you go. You're not spending time to train them. You're not spending time managing them. For instance, the first editors I see a lot of people make, they just say, here's the footage, here's what we need to do, go. Then they get it back and they're like, this isn't right, do all these revisions, go. And that's still not right. And they're like, that editor sucked, I'm on to the next one. What you need to do is instead look at it like Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 o'clock, we're going to meet for an hour to just run through things. I'm going to teach you more about why we would move this here or take this out or do this transition or whatever. You know, it's physically dedicating the time to work with that person and get them up to speed. Sure, if after several times of you doing this, the person still doesn't seem to grasp it, they're not what you're looking for, hey, now you know this person isn't a good fit. But if you're not dedicating the time and you're just expecting people to crush it without knowing like actually what's in your head, you are setting yourself up for failure. Secondly is mindset. You're not ready for the investment or you're giving up too early. So what do I mean by that? That means, hey, I want to hire someone to edit this video. I have a $300 budget. And like, if that doesn't work, like I'm just going to end up doing it myself. Instead, when you hire an editor, be looking at more like, I'm going to spend $1,500 over the next 2 months working with this person to make sure I'm getting them up to speed. Be ready. So when I hired Haley, my VA, it was the same deal. Hey, I'm going to dedicate $1,000 for the next 90 days just to see if this actually helps and works. In my mind, if I literally got nothing out of that $3,000, I got an investment in learning how to hire someone better and build better systems. So the earlier you start with this stuff, like the better. And that's why I say work on those small projects, bringing people on, get clear at communicating, build your SOPs out. Hiring the wrong person, don't just hire the first person. I actually have done that, so I don't practice what I preach. I've hired the first person many times and it's worked out, but it's also because I feel like in those early stages, I learned how to ask the right questions and understand just better about like who I was looking for as an individual, not necessarily what are your scales. Let me see a demo reel. Not having a clear system in place, that's obvious. Not setting your standards correctly. In other words, that first edit comes back, you let like 20 things slide that normally you would say, hey, I want these changed. So you're not setting the standard clear from the beginning, and then they're going to keep slipping and keep not doing what you want. And trying to spend less instead of getting it done right. So if you're first getting started, like obviously you want to hire the lowest cost person you possibly can. However, my advice is pay a little bit more. And this goes back to the time versus money thing, because there's two strategies that you can use when it comes to hiring subcontractors. The first is just documenting everything on your own as an individual. You map it all out. Like I'll show you. So this is a slide or something I just made this morning. Like, whoa. I got to change that password, huh? Freaking live streams. Anyways, so this is like what they need to do, right? It's literally, they can just go down the list and start checking boxes. And then I also recorded a loom on that, okay? So you could either figure out something and then teach them your process. Make sure you document it like a checklist. Think of it almost as a flight. Like if you're a pilot, a pilot goes through a checklist before takeoff. It's just literally down. Did you do this? Check, check, check. That's how you want your SOPs to be. I met a huge YouTuber with 10 million YouTube subs. He did science videos. And it took him like a year to step out of doing the actual YouTube videos. He had 600 pages on how he did his videos. 600-page SOP for 10 freelancers. Crazy shit. And the second way is hiring someone you can work in conjunction to build your process. So the best editor I have now, we worked together initially, like when he knew more than me when we started. So he was teaching me things and I was willing to pay him more because it let me learn faster. Right? When it started working with Haley, I didn't know what she needed to do to be my VA. I just said, hey, here's like 15 things I hate doing. What can you help me with? Let's start like trying to knock these off the list and let's build processes around it as we go. Right? So I was willing to spend the money so I didn't need to spend as much time to bring these people in. And that's how I think about a lot of things. If you're first starting out and you don't have the money, right? Maybe you need to be creative with finding someone and like finding them to work for free or something. But that's where just like you need to be able to charge appropriately. And the more you charge, the bigger the clients are, the more budget you're going to have to hire someone. So like that huge job I got for Fort Myers, same deal. Like I could not have done that without Alec knowing 10 times more than me, teaching me as we went. And then after that shoot, I was like that much better. I got another 10 grand from another company for a lifestyle shoot. And I hired this dude with a red camera who specialized in fashion lifestyle shoots. He taught me everything. I hired him to make me the assistant producer and teach me as he went. Okay. Where were we? So hire a team alliance, don't make mistakes. You can do it hourly, but I recommend per project. I pay people hourly now, but this goes back to the time versus money thing. In the past, I would sit and do the first 3 to 5 VBCs before passing them off to an editor. Certain projects now, like these YouTube videos, you know, it's hard to say because it can vary in price. So I'll pay someone hourly to figure out the formula for me, one of our better editors. Once we have 3 or 5 of those in place, guess what? That video is going to start getting done by someone who's not as high level as that editor because there's a formula built out. There's a process built out. We have examples to show them. Hoping this all makes sense. So when you're first starting out, like let's say a VBC, you should be paying just per project that person to get it done because you could pay someone 30 an hour and it takes them 30 hours to do it. That's $900. Or you pay someone 100 an hour and it only takes them 5 hours to do it. That's $500. Which would you prefer? The guy who finishes in a day and you're paying less and is way better, right? So just keep that in mind as you start hiring subcontractors. The best way to look at it is per project one-offs, 30-day trial, you know, simple things. For shooters, hey, we got to shoot. I technically don't have a ton of budget for this, but I'll throw you $100. My goal is for you to shoot some behind the scenes photo, video. Just want to see your style, how well you do. And then like in the future, ideally, we can be bringing you on and paying you to help those shoots, right? We got any question? Do I pay the editor for the training time? I will, but it kind of varies, Adam. I'll pay an editor if there's a let's say it's a VBC and I hire someone to do a VBC. I'm just like, hey, we pay $600 for VBC edits. Like that's the conversation. Like I dictate the price a lot now. I'm probably like, if you guys have worked with other companies where it's just like, oh, they only pay 50 an hour. How do I get the price? It's so easy to find people to shoot and edit. And it's like, we pay 50 an hour for shoots and we start editors at 30 an hour or pay them per project when they first start. And then like they can work up from there. But to get into like the higher up seats within our company, like you got to kind of put in some of that time. So where were we? 5 tips. Find your good team leads. Hiring is an investment. Only one person is responsible for each function of your business. That means you got to have people have responsibilities, deadlines, etc. Never hire your managers. that are just managers because they don't know how to do anything. You want people to get their hands dirty and manage. The other thing that was actually kind of cool to learn about is you need to hire your opposite. So like I'm a dynamo, meaning I love like freedom. I live in an RV. I love going fast. I hate planning. Like Alec is the exact opposite of me. Every time he's like, yo, we got to slow down. Like we need a whole plan. We need to map out like check boxes for every little thing. And I'm like, dude, let's just do it, you know? But that balance is really good within a business. So if you're super introverted, who should you find? Great answer. You should find someone who's extroverted and likes connecting with people, right? And that's where they get their dopamine hits from. And maybe you just love being behind the scenes and building systems. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to start finding people that can help counterbalance your strengths and weaknesses. And what we got? So I told you guys about this campaign. I just want to show you real quick. Like, so in the beginning, we did our 2 VBCs, 6 training videos, or actually it was like 10 training videos and a video ad. That was 25K. We implemented it on their site. We built a little internal training portal for them, for these dealers. Then we set up the leads for phase 2, started getting some results. And we ran it for like 18 months, like I said, before we actually did any more content for this client. And that's when we started doing more videos. But here's what I want to show you guys. Like when we do a video, it's not just like a video and we just give it to the client. We handle implementation. So we help it get it on their website. We get it on YouTube. We do their tags, titles, and SEO. We're helping them build ads around it. We're adding it to a landing page. We're adding it to email blasts. We're adding it to blog post. Same thing with process videos. That's not, or testimonial videos, same deal. It's not just like, here's a testimonial, go. We're creating so many different variations of it that fit into that bigger funnel that I was talking about earlier, right? And this is where clients really start to see the value of why it's not just a video. There's so much more to it. Another video, all over the place. Like, so it's kind of like repurposing content in a way. We're just making it go 10 times further. Let me see what else we got in here. I got one slide. I didn't get to finish building it out, but these are the tools we use primarily. You can screenshot that. Ads training. Cool. I made it through it in an hour. Took me 3 hours at the live event. It's probably because you guys can't actually like ask questions as easy as they come up. Do you think it's a good idea to start offering just VBCs in the beginning and start running paid ads specifically for that offer to get clients? Do you have $100 a day to spend on paid ads for the next 3 months? If the answer is yes, go for it. The smarter thing to do is do a VBC for a client, create 3 short form snippets of it, give it to your client for social media, and then take the best one of those or create something from the VBC to run as an ad to show clients how it can get more people to their landing page. I don't run ads for my company. I don't market for my company. I don't do anything because we have 8 clients that just keep coming back to us, or we actually more so, we find what they need to do and then bring it to them. Our clients do not come to us and say, hey, we want to give you $100 grand for editing this year. No, the reason we got that 10K editing retainer, while we were on the shoot, this was completely separate from the deliverables we had to do. We worked twice as hard to get all these other potential videos we could do to go back and show the client, hey, we got this just sitting on hard drives. Like, you're insane to not take advantage of this. So Adam asks, is the material mainly taught in 30-day CS? Yes, all of this, guys, is in 30-day CS other than paid ads. I talk about the strategy when it comes to paid ads, but full disclosure, any program that is just a program that you go at it alone for paid ads is going to be a ripoff. The mastermind is where I will help you get things dialed in. Membership is open this month and this month only. I'm not sure if I'm going to open up the mastermind again this year. I keep access small. I do have a company. I do have a life, you know, so, and I want everyone to have the best possible results. So 30-day content strategist is all about exactly these retainers, exactly these 25K packages, how to sell them, how to do them, what clients to find, all of that, right? It is the entire framework for the mastermind. Full disclosure, the mastermind's the upsell from 30-day content strategist. You're going to get so much value out of that program. I've actually made it so you have a bigger problem being like, whoa, how do we do these next things? Hey, join the mastermind. I don't care what you guys do. At the end of the day, like, I want people to take their business to the next level. Some people understand the value of investing in themselves. Some people don't right now. But my full disclosure to you, you won't find anyone else who's more obsessed with this than me. I promise you that. And I legitimately think 30-day content strategist is the best program out there right now after going through, like, I've done so many programs and I continuously am investing. So if you guys are interested, 30-day content strategist, there's a link in my bio on my actual profile, or you can shoot me a DM. If you want to jump on a call for the mastermind or just learn more, see if it's a good fit, understand what actually happens in that. I am only doing one-on-one calls for the next 2 weeks this year. So if you are interested, DM me, say, hey, from How to Sell, and I'll shoot you a special link for that because I already have 120 people on a waiting list to talk to me. And you guys take priority. I've been very active in this community for the last probably 5 years. Next question. For a new client, do you promise certain success rate or outcome in exchange for the client to hire you? Hell no. If yes, hope can you explain it a bit? No, don't promise results. Well, let's actually take this a step further. What does results mean? Results mean something happened. So here's an example of why results don't matter. Your mindset on results matter. We did a VBC for a client. We said this is going to help you attract people 24/7, like 100 hungry salespeople. We helped them with a landing page. We asked them if it was important that they got extra traffic to that page. They said no. We only talk to a handful of people a year. We just need something for like a defense in place. Okay. That client came back to us a month later, pissed off. Hey guys, I heard you sold me that this video is going to be tracking people 24/7 and this and that and this and that, you know. So we said, well, hold on. We said the benefit of a video is, yes, it can do that, but you also said you don't need people to find your page. Now, however, let me stop sharing. We pulled up Wistia because we set up the tracking when we did the landing page, and we said, look, 38 people watched this video. And he's like, 38 people? And I'm like, well, did you talk to those 38 people? He's like, no. And do you think they know a lot more about your business now? Yeah. And how many of those people could send that video to, if each one of those persons sent it to one other person, how many more people saw your video? It's like, yeah, 70 people. How long would it take you to have 70 conversations? 30 conversations for that matter. He's like, shit, this is cool. That's results. Results mean something happened. So when we start with a client, I don't promise results for anything. I say anyone who's guaranteeing you results, honestly, I wouldn't trust them, because how could you guarantee, like if I guaranteed results and COVID happened, it's, you know, how can you guarantee that? The world shut down. I will never guarantee your results. However, I guarantee you that you're working with someone who's all in to help you get to the next level. I guarantee you no one else obsesses over this as much as me, you know, and I guarantee you, like at the end of the day, like you're going to enjoy working with me. How do I know you're going to be able to sell a client? How do I know you're going to be able to build your company? Why would I bet on you? I flip it on them, because at this point, I understand what happens when you work with shitty clients. It goes back to you almost want to screen your clients as much as they screen you. So I'll never promise certain success rates. I will never say this is exactly what's going to happen. If anything, it's like even running ads, like let's say the ads flopped the first month, and instead of like we predicted a $2 cost per click and we're getting $10 cost per click. Does that mean we failed? No, it means we got results. Holy shit, how did you get results when your results sucked? It's because results mean something happened. We go back to that client and say, well, yeah, we know now these 3 audiences are not who we should be targeting, and these 3 creatives do not work. So next month, we're going to be able to take a smart approach and get out there and do this. If anything, I tell clients, like with ads, we have to waste your money before we start to understand where we need to target these ads. That's how Facebook algorithm works. You have to buy the data to understand where your buyers are. What do I use ChatGPT for? Polishing emails. We're using it for video scripts now for clients. We'll just say, hey, like write a brand video script from this website. And so it's actually phased out some of the copy that we did have Haley doing in the past, but now it's, I'm not like, too many people are obsessed with AI when they like have fun trying to sell AI to like a 50 or 60-year-old that doesn't even know what a website or ads are yet. You think you're going to sell like AI systems? AI will be incorporated into what we need it to be incorporated in. So many people have shiny object around this being like, oh my God, it's like when NFTs came out. Oh, I can make money with NFTs. No, just build your business. It was a fad. Maybe it comes back, but I mean, AI is here to stay. That's the reason though, you need to master fundamentals with this stuff, because you as an individual, I'm a one-person business. Everyone's a subcontractor. We'll do over $1 million this year. With AI systems, automations, that's what you need to obsess over, not necessarily like ChatGPT like all day, every day, because you think that's how everything's going to change. If you're a software engineer with lots of experience and into that, yeah, it's great. But it's just like anything else. Maybe 10% of my energy will go into that stuff. Isaac says, I have a client that paid me to travel to about 18 schools and create 18 different videos describing each school. Are you recommending repurposing that content? I don't know. Can it be repurposed? Can it be chopped into shorter social media content? Could one of those videos, could you create an ad from some of those to market? Like, are they running ads? How does their funnel look? You know, would testimonials make more sense than more videos around the school? There's just a lot, Isaac, that pops into my mind when it's like, at the end of the day, the more you can repurpose content, the better. Do they have those, like, how are those videos found, I guess? Trying to see if we got any other questions I'm not seeing here. Not supposed to stop talking. So before I did all of this, guys, I actually sold cable, internet. I sold like Comcast. I was one of those guys. And I learned you can never let more than 5 seconds go by without someone with like silence on the phone. It's a bad sales tactic. So I actually did a live stream in the mastermind one day, and I didn't realize I jumped on the wrong link. And for 25 minutes, I was just ranting, being like, all right, well, no one's here. I guess I'll just keep filibustering. So like I said, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means, but we have fun. All right, I don't see any other questions. Isaac, shoot me a DM for the mastermind. We got an epic squad. The results are insane. And like I said, this group is one of my bigger priorities over, like, we spend $1,000 a day probably on ads for that program. So I get a lot of people, a lot of hate too. That's what I woke up to this morning. Like, who's this motherfucker with like a zinc deficiency? And I didn't even know what it meant. So get used to being uncomfortable. Entrepreneurship life, baby. Cool, guys. All right. So that's all I got for today. Like I said before, I would love for every single person who needs to understand more about video. Like, I have everything covered in 30-day content strategist. If you want to lock in 10K guaranteed in retainers, that's where the mastermind comes in. It obviously is a higher price point and more of an investment, but I invested in it when I was 32K in debt. Like, literally $32,000 on my credit cards. I told you the company like hit like 90 that year, but I was still losing money. Like, I just wasn't scaling. Paul helped me transform everything. I worked with him for 2 years in the mastermind. He helped me lock in those profit shares. Now I'm helping everyone else in the mastermind dominate and take things to the next level. Ooh, sweet. DMs are flying in. I love this, guys. So hit me up, even if it's just for a one-on-one, and you're going to say no to everything, but want some fast feedback or advice because you're stuck. You don't know where to go. You don't have your community. I know how it goes. I started this. I actually, like 30 years old, moved back to my parents' house, like broke up with my girlfriend, was living on my sister's floor when I started doing this all over again, being like, I know I'm going to figure it out. And here we are 6 years later, bought an RV. I might be buying a car wash next week with a partner, trying to get more land to lock in just more investments and stuff. Cause like ultimately now the goal is continue move to that investor level. So I don't need to physically keep showing up as much within coaching. DNC's dialed in. My goal this year is to get coaching dialed in, step out a lot of that other than just the high level trainings and stuff. So I will catch you guys later. My goal is to do this again next Tuesday with another workshop I have. I know this talked about a lot of things at a high level, but I'm going to teach you a little bit more about the actual systems I have in place with my business, because without getting things like G Drive set up, your Dropbox set up, using Slack, using Trello for your project management, all of that, unless you guys want me to keep going. The call is free, Steven. Sorry, didn't mean to yell at you. Yeah, it's a good ad, but it is fun. Like, you know, I'm starting to save all the like shit talkers just so I can create a funny like social media post. Yeah, normally, Steven, I charge minimum 500 for clients. Minimum. Like, you won't get this opportunity again. I told you I have 120 people on a waiting list. There's a lot of people out there that want to talk. People in this community that are on this call right now have first priority. That's the only way I know how to put it. Optimizing videos for search engines. Focus on one or the other, Malcolm. If you're focused on ads, focus on ads. SEO, I mean, it comes down to tagging. The challenge with SEO is most people want to add SEO after video's done. It starts before the video. Use ChatGPT to say, what are the top 10 questions around childcare? That's going to spit out 10 questions. You take it to the client, you say, hey, here's some questions I came up with. This is the biggest questions most people have in the industry based around what they're searching for. Holy shit, science. Let's make videos around what people actually search for. Then you can base the videos around those topics, add the tags, do all that stuff. Can you replay the stream? Yes, the stream will stay here live. However, the mastermind will be closing in 2 weeks for the rest of the year. So if there's any interest for that, you got to jump on a call within those next 2 weeks. What role does data analysis play in video marketing, and how to use data to improve your campaigns? You know what's happening. Without it, you don't know what's happening. Simple as that, Malcolm. Without data, I don't know what's happening. Without tracking how many hours each video takes to edit from our editors, I don't know who's working fast and who's working working slow. Oh man, live stream life. Without tracking my finances day to day, like I use Wave. So like I use Wave. So like this has been the month, and I can track stuff here so I understand what's happening. Like if I go back, I can see what happened through April. If I go back, I can see what happened through March. We have $220,000 come in since March, 10 weeks. Let's go. I got you guys. All right, y'all. That's all. I got to jump on another call here soon, and my computer's about to die. So let's keep making move. Let's keep being savage. Don't let clients get you down. And if you all have questions, you're watching the replay, #replay, and drop your questions below. Tag me. Be sure to tag me. Otherwise, I probably won't see it. And let's just keep dominating. All right, I'm out. Peace.